Hey, and we are live with
No, we
the
are.
Don't. Yes, we are.
Yes.
I know. I just pushed the button.
Right.
For God's sakes, just because you're going camping doesn't mean that
I know, right?
you can. Yeah, you only hear briefly. Anyway,
I know.
welcome to the Don't Dream It, Stream It. Oh boy, Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else periscoping live program. Troy McDonald has kindly joined us with his drink to help him think. I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelman of Maximize Your Media, our digital agency based here in San Diego, and Life Beyond Practice, our coaching program for doctors, where we help them get greater free time, freedom, and fun by helping them to build their own online business. And we've got an echo, and I don't think it's from me.
I don't know. Might be for me.
You think it's from you?
I don't know.
And who are you?
I'm JohnPaduchak. I'm a video marketing expert specializing in live video. How about that?
That's good. Succinct. It's not targeted net solution.
I got that too.
Oh,
Thank
good. You got camper brain right now.
I do. I've just been like straight out.
Straight up camper. Straight up gangster. OG camper.
Yep.
I'm going to throw these on just in case somehow it's part of my audio or something. So,
yeah, because I tried my earbuds and it's still going.
Oh, sorry.
It might be John Paduchak of JohnPaduchak.com.
Probably. I got some background noise over here too today, so.
I wonder what that is.
Okay, but I will introduce myself.
Wow, you sound like you're Capcom from the Apollo program.
I know.
What is with that audio?
It has to switch over.
Oh, okay. That's what it's doing.
Man, taking some time switching.
Houston, we have a problem. Utah, we have a problem.
Capcom.
All right.
Sounds like Capcom.
Oh my gosh, you guys are out of control.
It's not even Friday. It's not even the Friday marketing happy hour yet.
What's up with that?
I know.
I think John's already getting happy because he's a happy camper, or soon to be a happy camper.
Soon to be happy camper. Thank you for.
Yeah. I need to clarify.
In theory, it should be on the new mic. There it is.
It sounds much better now. Yeah. Now you don't sound like you're broadcasting to us from the 1960s.
Yeah, I thought we went back.
You?
Like decades.
Your intro, Mr. McDonald.
So I am Troy McDonald with LiveEventMarketers.com, which will actually take you to the Facebook group Live Event Marketers, and that's where we allow you to promote your live stream or live event as long as it's business or marketing related. Help you get more traction and helps you also network with the people that are in there of like mind.
I wonder where that background noise is coming from.
Yeah, that's not me now.
I feel like I should. No, I think I should need to mute John for the rest of the broadcast. He's not going to be here anyway. In terms of. Oh, now it's sound. You got different sound too. Wow, interesting.
Really?
Now it's better. Huh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, much better now. I think we've solved the audio issue.
I find sometimes you hear like an echo when you first start these, and then it slowly disappears.
Yeah,
like in the first minute or a couple minutes.
I brought the Heil in with me today just to and I hope it's not the Heil.
Yeah, I'm completely by mobile today because I've been packing up all my stuff to hit the road.
You're by mobile?
Yeah, I was like, by mobile, interesting.
I was like, he's by.
I'm on my iPhone.
Oh, you're an iGuy who's by mobile.
Yes, I'm mobile.
Got it. Mobile, very British.
Well, thank
you. Yeah, I know.
It's a little shaky. I feel like I'm having a tremor.
It is a little shaky. I'm finding it hard to figure out where the center of the picture is too.
Well, also got to figure out where your center of gravity is too.
I know.
It's like, wow. Okay. Well, dude, where's my contact?
Where's my contact or content?
Content. Sorry, my contact.
Where's my contact?
Where is my contact? My contact is actually floating in a funny way in my right eye. So that's probably what was on my mind.
That's probably where you're thinking that.
Where's my content? So one thing that we talked about content several times now, we talked about audio quality. So who's creating content right now at this very moment?
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
You have the correct answer. You may now take the floor.
Which one? We both said it.
We have multiple floors. Yes.
Actually, John, why don't you get some stuff in if you're going to be heading out?
If you're going to be driving that 32-foot bus, you might as well get your 2 cents worth in here right now.
That's true. I should.
Yeah.
I should.
Go.
So audio we're talking about. Well, obviously important to have good audio. That's key. Especially with video. You want to optimize that first.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day of the importance of actually having your audio be, if nothing else, almost like the one thing you really want to focus on the most. I mean, not the video is important, but your primary, that's a good word.
Well, because you do this and I do. I think all three of us do this, which is we often will listen to live broadcasts or YouTube videos, other things. My wife Maggie does the same thing in the background while you're doing other work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's again why audio is important.
Yeah.
But let's actually, I know John started it, but let's step back and talk about, because I think what we talked about the other day, it really kind of is like the seed of everything. So in other words, we talked about doing video and then repurposing that.
Right. And I think that's
thing. Yeah. And that's a big thing that I'm actually looking at right now is my workflow for repurposing.
Mm-hmm.
And the one question that comes to my mind too is I know that a lot of people will do video and then again to create content, but then they will just take and strip the audio out and make that as a podcast. And I'm kind of bouncing between the two of, well, then some people be like, well, I don't need to subscribe to the podcast because I watched the video or vice versa, right?
Vice versa. Yeah. And that's actually, that's what goes through my head.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing I also know that I guess in sort of defense of that is that some people will do one or the other. And just understand, that you're going to reach a certain audience with the podcast and then a certain audience with the video.
Yeah. But
then also what pops into my mind as well, because I'm not podcasting yet, is that you can do that with your, I really don't know what to call them, but because they're like video casts, but you really take them in, where you're filming yourself actually doing the podcast and then you actually just strip the audio from it. But I guess we'll just call it a podcast. And then you can actually have literal podcasts that you do that are separate, that maybe you're not are videoing, but you are making them part of your podcast. However, for me, I will always do the video version as well, because again, that's just another thing I can repurpose and use.
Well, and you can't show off the signature sheet in a podcast.
Well, the signature sheet, as you know, this is part of the construction area. I know you think it's my sweatshop back there.
I still think it's a sweatshop.
Yeah, but this will be converted, like I say, into my full live stream setup and stuff. So, yeah.
Will we be allowed to tour the studio at a later date?
Well, you'll actually experience it because it will be the studio.
The studio. No, I'm thinking of a physical tour once we're cleared.
Well, it's not huge. It doesn't go back that far. So yeah,
it's not like Universal Studios or Fox.
No.
No, there's no attractions or rides to do unless you want to sit in my chair and I'll spin you around. But
spin me around in the chair.
But I will say, so in my content creation, I have then thought about how I'm going about it. And as we talked about yesterday, and it really makes sense, I did go ahead and order a desk that will allow me to stand or sit. I do a lot of sitting for a lot of, the day-to-day this and that work, but I will also then record, again, sometimes one-off, but also in batches video where standing up is like the vibe, like it helps you, have a different flow, a different connection than just sitting in your chair, even if it's just a short live snippet, as I like to call it,
Well, and physiologically, I can tell you from both in the past, being trained in voice lessons and everything else, that your diaphragm just doesn't have the same oomph or power when you're sitting down.
Right.
Yeah. And so I did get it for that purpose, because I, again, as you know, I already like to use my hands. I like to really be into it. I might,
jazz, not jazz hands though.
But it does actually have a whole different feel than the sitting down part to it.
Yeah.
And so that's on order. That's coming in as part of the, the new studio setup. And I do have to thank Angela, Angela Langlotz, who is one of our cohorts, that she, of course, has calls that she has to be on today. So she'll be on tomorrow. And, anyways, her, because I did talk to her a little bit, about it. And she said yesterday, somehow she just literally spaced it. And so I give her a little bit of a throat chop, as I like to call it. But
it's probably because we didn't call out the central time zone because she's in Dallas.
Yeah.
That was my mistake.
She was offended or whatever. So,
yeah.
So Andy, in our in the watch party that I'm doing in the Live Event Marketers group, Andy Brocklehurst, he says, make it a sweatshop. Make it a sweatshop now. It will save it. It'll save it for me having to convert it to one later. So I guess he does have some a point there. You gotta
get that signature sheet manufactured quickly because the demand is going to be so high.
Well, actually, the funny thing is it won't exist in the upcoming studio. So
is this going to go to the Smithsonian then, or the Broadcasters Museum in DC?
The Broadcasting Smithsonian. Yeah, it just may have to actually.
Yeah, it may have to. Gosh, say that. You should auction that off, and then you can pay for your studio.
I probably should, right?
Yeah, it's famous. You got to sign it. Make sure it's signed though.
So the other things as far as content creation, at least, let me I'll just kind of do a bit of a brain dump of the way I'm thinking it is. So if you go ahead and video it, you can grab the audio from it, then you can do this transcription from that, and pretty much those are the areas that I think of. Again, video, audio, and then the printed format, which can be physical, or somebody can of course read it on their screen as well. And then you can look at it as content that you can do for an upcoming course. Let me speak to that. I do know that so Wilco de Cry of upviral.com, I'm looking around just a bit as I'm shutting down some screens here, but what he did with one of his more recent products was he actually filmed it live and allowed those of his customers to be a part of it. Now, he also did a pretty cool thing, which I don't know if I would have thought about it, but now I'm making it my own. But the way he filmed it was he would go through and cover particular topics, and when he felt that he kind of messed up, he would do a clapper kind of thing, because he's going to have an editor that comes in and do it. So it is a little bit, you have to prepare your audience for it, know that those things will come up and happen, but he made it available for them to be able to attend it live. And yeah, there was, I'd say a decent amount in them, but you I don't think need to focus on that. You just boom, restart yourself, and you just, continue on from there. And I think your audience will understand the fact that they, are getting it for free. But
yeah, I'm wondering if the Ecamm, you could just press one of those sound effects, and just make that the little sound effect, and it gets you time to compose yourself.
Yeah, if you want to talk about, technically.
Well, yeah, I want to get too technical. I think it's more a question of, I want to get to John in case he escapes here. Yeah, because and part of it, I think, is the mindset of creating content, and the fear of producing something that's not perfect. Like you talked about, Troy, the brain dump, and not worrying about writing something and simultaneously editing, or doing a video that's live and worrying about, we have to cut this out or change this. So, John, do you set aside specific times of day? Because I've heard from a lot of people, a number of my doctor clients, they just don't have the time to create content. And I'm wondering how you find time during the day, or do you set aside a specific schedule time for creating content?
I do different things. Like sometimes I'll set aside a whole day to create video and create content, because it's just easier to do that way in a lot of
kind of batch it. Is what you're
saying? Batch it and do a day's worth. That's not always the easiest thing to do, because sometimes you need to do it in segments. Yeah. Or depending on where you're doing it, like I like to film stuff outside. Yeah. And tends to be better filming different times of day.
So, you don't do it at midnight content outside with John?
That doesn't work so good.
No. Okay.
No.
Hey, I will talk to that. I am a late night guy, so I could see myself doing content at midnight.
But outdoors?
Not outdoors.
If it was appropriate, I mean, it's going to be quiet out there.
I thought I thought you're going to get the crickets out there, you know.
Oh no, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be against it. More than likely, I would do it, you know, in the office. But
yeah,
I think people need to, you know, work when they work best. And I think sometimes, like John says, sometimes it is batching. Like, you know, hey, today I'm going to do a set of videos. And now that wouldn't necessarily be live content, but I mean, you know, you still can do that. And I do also know some, for example, like Cam Fats in the Live Event Marketers group. I mean, he tends to do his stuff later, you know, anywhere from like, you know, around 9 Eastern time and that kind of thing or whatever. And so some people are like, whoa, that's like, you know, like late, don't do it. But I'm like, you got to be you too at the same time, because you are going to, I mean, if you're really trying to connect with your audience, I mean, you're wanting to find people more like you as well. So
if you've got to be you too, does that mean you're Bono or The Edge or who?
I'm going to let that one fly because I tell you, it's going to go downhill. But
sorry, anytime somebody says you too, that's all.
Yeah, well,
of course.
I mean, what am I supposed to say in English? But
I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So,
oh man,
sorry.
All right,
there you go.
So I didn't mean to necessarily cut you off, John, but I just want to throw that in there.
No, that's true. In my case, I don't like to work with light, like under lighting for long periods of time. I just don't like the heat. Now they
you're kind of cooking. You're cooking yourself like at a buffet.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, that's not necessarily the case because now with the LED panels and stuff, it's cooler. But at the same time, I just usually don't like to use a lot of lighting and have to set up a set, and you know, so I usually try to work around that when I can.
I prefer natural lighting actually, because then I don't have to
Me too.
I don't have to pull out my lighting, nor do I have to put it away again.
Right. And it's fun filming outdoors or, you know, in nice daylight surroundings.
Well, that's because unlike Troy, we don't have designated studios.
Well, I mean, you know, I have to shuffle things around to make it a studio. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I mean, this was just an office, but you know, I had and have moved things from the back here. I got to move a tad bit more on the side, I'm realizing. But I mean, it's really interesting if you think about it. There's a guy that I follow that's on YouTube, and he does some cooking shows. Okay. And so I like his little bit of a spin and angle on some of his cooking things. And if you look at it just from camera, I'm like, wow, that's nice. You know, I mean, you could tell he's an empty nester and stuff. So that's kind of like, you know, my mind's thinking, oh, he's empty nester, don't worry about kids, which I have 2 kids. You know, and so, yeah, he just has a nice kitchen or whatever. Well, he happened to finally do one where he was showing a little bit of his setup, and then also another one that I seen where he was doing something outside, barbecuing right outside. And it turns out that it's a shed that he has turned into. I mean, you would think this is in a home. It is a literally built studio that looks like it is a kitchen. I mean, I wouldn't say it looks like a kitchen. It literally is a kitchen. He can use it. And it just blew my mind. And so the reality is, if you look at real sets on television, they're really the same thing too, right? You pull back and you're going to see, you know, all the lighting and other things in the background. The audience is, if it's, you know, has an audience, is over here. And it can blow your mind in a sense if you don't stop and think about it. So that will be the case in mine as well. And I think if you look at any other setup that people show on YouTube a lot, because a lot of them will show their setups, it is a studio set for that. And in some cases they do convert them over to do their stuff. And then some are a permanent scenario. It just depends on the room that you have. Yeah. And so, you know, it can be done. It just really depends on how often you plan on doing it, you know, and that's, since I am going to be focusing more on video going forward, that's why I'm doing it. Plus at the same time, I want to have a little bit of me vibe in there, you know? And so, you know, in the background, I have some stuff that's kind of related to me and stuff.
Is there a talking bass that's mounted on a wall?
That'd be cool.
You know, actually, I wouldn't be opposed to necessarily putting one of those.
You wouldn't be opposed to it?
Well, I mean, because I like to have fun, right? So, you know, and as much as I am serious in business, I have a you know, that sarcasm side. That's why I got to be quiet a lot of times with you, because like I can just take it right downhill, and you and I can have like a whole sarcasm show and that kind of thing. So,
sarcasm.
Welcome to the Marketing Sarcasm Show.
Yeah. So, but I really like to have fun, and that kind of thing. So I want to blend those of just, my enjoy life, have fun.
Yeah.
And then there's the serious kind of business side of me, and just kind of, find some balance between that, because, there are a lot of people that are in business online and they are just straight up serious. And I'm like, they're
stiff as a board, or they look as though they've been embalmed.
Yeah. And I can talk shop with them all day long as well. But at the same time, I like to throw in a little bit of a wisecrack or joke or something like that every now and just because, that's me. Just to kind of sometimes lighten the mood that, is, just can be like, not tense, but just like, wow, we're getting into a lot of stuff. So let's kind of pull back for a second, almost let things marinate, or something. So
barbecue.
I have to make my move.
Marinate.
Are you marinating right now?
Not yet.
You're not marinated?
No, but I do have to run. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Where are you running to?
I'm running off.
You're running off?
I'm running off.
Okay.
Yeah,
why don't you create some content? Mount that phone on your dash and create some content.
Yeah, I got to do something here.
Do it. Or
although,
have your wife hold the phone when my wife actually did that for me one time. I was talking content. Yeah.
Good.
Well, there are some people, speaking of creating content with it on your dash, there are some people that are anti that because they're like focused completely on driving. And I'm like, well, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's one thing if you actually are focusing on driving and you're just talking, versus, you're like looking at the camera the whole time. That I'd be against.
If you aim in such a way that it's not looking up your nostrils, it's okay. And people just think about it too, because there actually are studies that show that even listening to music on the radio creates a level of distraction from driving.
Right. So, now, if I were going to do that, which I am at some point, I'm going to get some kind of dash cam to do that with, try to do it with.
And right now you're just going to dash off.
So, and now I'm going to dash off.
Will you be with us tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern?
I hope so.
2 Pacific, 3 Mountain.
That's
hope so. Translations means forget it, guys.
No, really. I'm planning to. So we'll just
okay. All right. Well, be safe. Have fun. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Guide that 32-foot bus. Do I kick him out? Oh, he kicked himself out.
He kicked himself out. So anyway, so let me just talk a tad bit more about this. So there are some people that are really anti, against creating content while driving. And I personally, I agree with you. It's not any different than having somebody in your car, as long as you have it mounted and you are actually
paying attention to the road.
Yeah, and you're actually paying attention. Don't look at the camera. Like, look, they can see you. They understand you're driving. Blah blah blah. Now, a little bit claustro. But there's the room.
You feel better now.
Yeah.
Is there any Italian in your background, by the way?
I'd need to look at my genealogy stuff again.
Genealogy, okay. I just love the hand motion. Okay. So so as long as you're still focused on the road and aware of what's in front of you.
Well, I mean, like I get what they're saying, and I think actually, here's an interesting side point then. I know somebody specifically that really can't do two things at a time. And I would highly recommend that they not recommend that they do that. And I'm not making it as a joke. I mean,
I understand. Yeah.
And they've been like that. And so I think it depends on your personality style and the way that you operate in your mind. And it's kind of like that crazy thing I just did there. But, so, I mean, who am I to tell people what to do and what not to do? But I understand how some people are against it. And then some people, shouldn't, just in general, but that is a way of creating content.
Now, in terms of creating content, have you ever sat down and done written content on a regular basis? Or has it all been video, live?
Yeah. Well, yeah, more back in the day. I mean, remember when we didn't have video and stuff like that as marketers, I mean, you were all like written, right? I mean, and then you started doing filmed video, versus now these lives and that kind of thing. So, so things have changed. I mean, but then again, there was not necessarily writing down. There was actually, like we talked about before, where you would talk it, you could speak it instead of writing down, you speak it down. So you speak it, you just get it out. Because like we talked about too, when creating content, you have to be careful of the editing.
Yeah.
And
don't edit while you're writing, or don't even edit while you're speaking if you can help it.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just ramble it on and then edit it later. And that is actually easier for me to just ramble it on, or just, I should say, speak it and then ramble
it.
But ramble it on. And I find that if you're a visual thinker, you tend to have, because this is how it's explained, is that you have so many visual images that you are now trying to convert to words that sometimes you can get lost because the images are coming so fast. So that's why I say just ramble it out, just get it all out. Then you can edit it later into the points that you're wanting to have come across.
I think by and large, human beings are they are visual thinkers. They may have a preference for audio and other things, but when you think of words are really symbols by and large for objects and phenomena outside of ourselves, except for perhaps emotions.
Yeah, well, that could be another rabbit hole discussion.
But I do understand the whole thing. Some people are more kinesthetic, some people are more auditory, some people are more visual. Yeah. Now, do you set aside specific times, like a regular schedule? Because we were both listening to Rich Shefferin and Katrina Ruth talking about content creation. And I thought it was really interesting, the idea, which I have yet to implement, which is sitting down at a specific time every single day and just doing what you talked about earlier, which is the brain dump. These are all my thoughts. And is that something that's appealing, or are you more like freewheeling it,
For me personally, I'm always well, you bring up a good point, because I do think that it makes sense. Like she said, she's Katrina talked about getting, in a habit basically to where now she does that. I personally am more of I need to feel like in the mood, but I also try to get myself in the mood. Like I prep myself, like, in other words, so since I'm a later night person, don't be expecting me up at 9 o'clock to get on some like live stream unless I absolutely have to, or, I have to create something, because I'm just not, my brain's just not in full gear till later on. And so.
And what's your optimal time then? Is it like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, midnight?
Oh yeah. Like anywhere from like 9 PM. I'm like on, people are shutting down and I'm like, I can go, and it's kind of weird for people to understand, but you just have to think about it like, just as well as you work good early in the early hours, and getting up and do it. That's how I am, just the time shift. And there are other people that are like that. And then there's people that are in between as well, because there's, I kind of look at it as
I had forgotten. You're right, because I said there was some message that I left you one time in Facebook Messenger, and you responded at 12:30 my time, which was 1:30 in the morning Mountain. And I was like, wow, you are the night owl.
Yeah. And, so, that's a really interesting point that you bring up. This whole scope of like, who you are and being who you are. And I think that's why we really are entrepreneurs, or we like to be entrepreneurs, because we want to be who we are and have our business to feed us, in a sense, right? To serve us, not us becoming a slave to it. Now, I do think that as a business owner, there's certain sacrifices that you have to do in certain cases, right? That you need to do what you need to do.
Well, so, if our VA in the Philippines isn't awake and we need something cranked out quickly, we do what we need to do.
Actually, I know that's absolutely it. Like if I need to be up at a particular time to be on somebody's live stream or whatever, then I make adjustments. I got to do what I got to do, right? You have to pay the price. As an entrepreneur, you always pay the price, and there will be a price to be paid, and everybody's going to be, different and that kind of thing. But
it's not just $5.95 plus postage and handling.
Well,
it's a big price.
That actually could be a good deal sometime.
It could be if it's like. But with content creation, the concept that she presented was interesting, of scheduling a time, and she's more of, I guess she's got sort of the notion from, what is it, the book she mentioned was the War of Art.
Oh,
the Art of War.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the guy's Pearson or something like that. I can't remember the name of the author.
I think I have his book on my to-do list kind of thing, to read list, because I've heard some other things about it as well.
Yeah, and I had another friend who's a business coach recommend it again too on her live stream, which just happened last week. So I keep hearing from people, read it. But
let me just give a super quick shout out to Tamara, who's watching this as well. And
I didn't see her in the.
I can't remember. She happens to be on the watch party.
The watch party. Yeah, we have limited feed here, but Troy generously created a watch party over in Live Event Marketers, and that's very helpful to extending the reach.
I did. If you do, you remember what you were about to say? Because I have two things that I wanted to.
What I was thinking of is the notion that she's inspired by the muse, but you don't have to wait for the muse to come to you. You make yourself available so that the inspiration comes forward. That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. Sometimes you just need to get yourself in the location, or
the location does make a difference. You anchor the idea of being physically present in the office where you create content. It's not to say you can't create content in other locations, but it's good because you just have you're almost setting up your mind for the expectation that content is about to be created. And
sometimes, you just sit down and you just start getting the garbage out. You kind of clean the pipe a little bit before it all starts flowing,
The trash.
Because I think sometimes, really. Because I think sometimes when you sit down, you're like, and then you start doing something like, see, I'm not in the zone. I'm like, okay, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. In other words, like give yourself a moment to get into the zone, give yourself a little bit of time. And I use music to kind of help me sometimes as well.
Music helps. Yeah. Music can help inspire you or even just calm you down. If you're having
or raise your energy if you need,
or raise it. Yeah, it can be either way. I mean, I remember, we talk about people doing live events and content. I always remember watching Tony Robbins listening to music before he would head out on stage. It was very interesting to see how people try to boost their energy along those lines. But getting on a regular schedule to create content is interesting to me from the standpoint of writing a book, because an author will frequently sit down and have a goal of at least I'm writing an hour a day or 2 hours a day, or I'm going to do 2 pages a day or 5 pages a day, no matter what. And that's a very interesting concept because that sort of goes against the idea of batching your content. I mean, you're not going to write 3 chapters in one day, but you might be able to do 3 chapters doing 2 hours a day over the course of 2 weeks.
It's an interesting concept. I do have a friend who's a published author with, Simon Schuster and all kinds like that. And he lives just the next street over. I should talk to him about it. I mean, he'd be an interesting person to have on in a live.
Bring him on board and talk about the creative process and how he schedules himself, because everyone seems to have different methods. I mean, if you were Hemingway, you got to be you're drunk in writing. Not that we're advocating that for content creation.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. We all have kind of our ways or methods, and it is good to hear other people's, because sometimes you've thought about maybe implementing something and you hear from somebody else how it actually works, or it works for them, or you can kind of twist it to your need or how it would work for you as well.
I mean, if we were going to do the Pomodoro method, for example, in a 1 hour broadcast, we'd be getting up after 25 minutes and walking around and coming back 5 minutes later. And I don't know if that would really hold the viewer's attention.
I think there's an audience for everybody, but I don't necessarily want to try to find that audience.
You don't want to try to find the tomato audience.
So another thing that I wanted to talk about is when creating content, there's a lot of the imposter syndrome that people deal with. And the way that I heard somebody say something the other day that made me really think about it. So I kind of came up with this, the way I'm saying it this way, is that because I've always wondered about that. Why? Because we all go through it, I think. Even if you're, a published author and you're, you got a well-known name thing and kind of stuff like that. I've heard of professional people or, people that have achieved quite a bit still have that or feel that.
Comedians and singers who have sold out stadiums and they still feel that way.
Right. And now I won't get into because I think there's a spiritual aspect to that, but I won't go into that. But here's how I want to look at it, or here's how I want to have people think about it, is that I think that the imposter syndrome comes in this format, or it comes by this means. So you need to see yourself, say, as a first grader. Okay, you know something more than the kindergarten or the younger children. Mm-hmm. So you are an expert, and those are the people you need to be focusing on and reaching. But what you find yourself in the imposter syndrome is when you may not realize this, but then now you're comparing yourselves to the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. And so that's how that comes. So what I'm telling you, those that are watching, is that you need to think of where you are. So let's just say, you consider yourself third grade. I mean, I'm just picking one of the, the earlier ones, that if you're a third grader, you need to be teaching and talking to these second, first, kindergarten, and that kind of stuff. And then as you continue to grow, your audience expands, but your imposter syndrome comes from you thinking and comparing yourself to the grades above you.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like the freshman in high school comparing him or herself to the seniors.
Because I think a lot of people don't really realize, why am I feeling how I feel? And you're thinking like, oh, like I haven't been around as long as Troy or Frank Kern or Dr. V or, or JohnPaduchak and Angela Langlotz, and just you can go down the whole list, and I haven't this, I haven't that, whatever. And again, so you're now comparing yourself forward versus understanding the audience that you're going to be reaching and serving them, and understanding that your education will continue to grow. So therefore your audience will grow, and you move up in the ranks. Well,
and this is why in creating content, comparison is a double-edged sword. It could be really good because you're comparing yourself to those people who don't know as much as you and those whom you can help. The bad side is if you're comparing yourself to other people who've accomplished all kinds of things over many more years than you've even been alive.
Exactly. So I really liked that kind of analogy in a sense, really, because when you realize you're maybe feeling that incompetence or whatever, and you go, oh, okay, wait a second, what am I doing here? I see what I'm doing. And hopefully it can help you to course correct, so to speak.
It's like, hey, I know how to tie my shoes. The kid next to me is still using Velcro.
Right.
So I know just enough to feel a little bit better about myself.
Right. And just remember that you're now going to be the one teaching that person how to tie their shoe, and they are looking at you as, wow, I mean, I need to know this.
It's like, you've got mad skills. Can I buy your PDF or watch your video on shoe tying?
Right. I mean,
if they only had kindergarten credit cards, that's what you need. So,
yeah.
I've got a buyer, Mom. So,
hey, Brian's watching us. So, Brian Arnold.
Oh.
And so another way of creating content that can be done in live streams and also filmed video, and even if you just want to talk, but it's using a teleprompter.
Yeah, but I've never, the funny thing is my version of a teleprompter was a piece of paper, and I think I even used a series of Post-it notes on the side of my screen.
Well,
and I would read through, as opposed to a real teleprompter, yeah, traditional one. But I don't. But the question is, don't you really have to have a certain level of confidence and experience rehearsing using a teleprompter, so it seems like you're more natural? I mean,
I actually think it is, to me, in my experience, it's like lives. It just takes a little bit getting used to, and then it's not that big a deal. Okay. And the way that I like to use them for when I've created, because it's mainly for creating products. I haven't done any with like any, like live streaming type thing yet or anything. Yeah. But it's where you've kind of gotten all your information out, and then you've done your editing. So now it's all perfect, to how you want to say it and stuff. So, it helps.
But it's essentially a script. I mean, and you could go off script if you think of something, but then who's monitoring the speed of the teleprompter? I mean, you're doing it yourself, basically.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of them too nowadays. I mean, you've got a remote control where you can pause it, and you can, and you can go off script and everything like that. And again, everything else, seems super scary in the beginning, but with time, all of these things, even the live streaming, all this stuff, it's not hard. It's not hard. It's just getting used to. I mean, it's just really simple as that. And
well, in terms of simplicity, I think the simpler the better when you're starting out, though. But I like the idea of playing with those kind of toys. So
yeah, and I agree with you too. Yeah. Like we've talked about before, it is about just getting started. So you may never use a teleprompter. The
broadcast studio in your hand.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Your phone in your pocket, which is, again, like we say, it's a computer with a phone option.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't even know where they call it a phone anymore, but that's
I know
for convenience.
It's exactly.
It's not the miniature iMac.
Yeah. Well, the power that, the phone has nowadays is more than they had, going with the original Apollo stuff. So,
if we could only send Apollo 13 an iPhone into the past.
That's right.
There's something for Back to the Future.
Oh, there's a funny meme going around that it says, it shows the Marty,
Marty, whatever you do, don't go back to 2020.
Exactly. Don't go to 2020. I loved it. When I saw that.
It's probably one of my favorites because somebody asked me, was it Rebecca Radich? She asked, what's the last meme that's on your phone? And I put it up and they're sure that's what it was because I thought that was hilarious.
It's a good one.
So when it comes to content creation, I mean, one of the other things is a question of where you're going to put your content. And I think when you're looking at written content, let's say that you do have a transcript of your live video or your regular video, you've got certain limitations. I mean, like I know Twitter used to be 140 characters. Now it's blown up to 280 characters and people go through it. They'll produce entire articles through a very long thread. I don't know if many of our viewers actually produce much content that goes on Twitter, but I've seen a number of different internet marketers use Twitter fairly effectively in terms of getting engagement. And I know we're broadcasting on Periscope right now, for example.
Well, I mean, where would you put it? I mean, again, if it's if it's something long, I mean, it's really gonna have to become a download though.
But that's where that's where your 5-minute stuff probably comes in more. Unless you have live events like news events or things like that, where somebody is watching for 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it depends on the length. I mean, you're talking about your live snippet, which is, like say, maybe a max of 10. But yeah, it's usually like anywhere from like, I'd say, 6 on down. You know what I mean? Minutes really.
Yeah.
And those would, and the reason why you're doing those, reason why you're doing a live snippet, TM, is
too much.
Too much. Or Troy McDonald.
Oh no. Angela, did you hear that?
Yeah. I've been waiting for Angela because I've been putting TM every now and then after my live snippet, and I've been waiting for her to say something. But
did you register?
We can ask her tomorrow,
Troy?
maybe.
Yeah.
No, then I would have the R on it because then it's registered.
I think services are. TM is right, but I think also
there is
SM
is
your service.
Yeah.
Not S&M. SM. So
right.
Make that
clear. So your live snippets are really, again, to make it digestible for people.
Right.
Easy
chunks, bite-sized pieces, as we say.
Yeah.
Bite-sized piece of content.
So but if you're having a longer form video, whether it's training or something, I mean, you're gonna have to have some sort of downloadable or viewable within the browser kind of thing. So
what's interesting too is because I've actually been experimenting with creating content. I'm not doing a lot of it, but I've been helping my wife create some of her video pins with the recipes that appear on Pinterest. But also I've actually been uploading just purely vertical videos that I have. And it's interesting. And it takes like 3 days or more, especially if it was, say, a 15-minute video, for somebody to manually look at it and then allow it to appear in my Pinterest. And now, not a lot of marketers use Pinterest, but I've seen some social media people in particular put video content and create video pins for their particular audience. And they do a lot of content curation when it comes to social media, to internet marketing, to general business practice and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's 2 areas that I haven't delved into yet, both Instagram and Pinterest. It's
interesting, yeah. And for me, I'm getting revved up for Instagram only because I've been helping my wife with her Instagram Live cooking programs. And that's, we've even talked about doing something special on one of those where we'll do one of them together because I'm all thumbs when it comes to the kitchen and she thinks it's going to be hilarious. So.
Oh yeah, you'll have to let me know. I need to almost see that then, yeah, for sure.
People would pay to see that.
That's right.
But I'm getting more interested in Instagram Lives, providing that you can download it. The problem with the video is it is that vertical, and I don't know. Like, and if you have 2 people doing an interview, you've got the host on top and the other person, the guest, on the bottom. Where do you put that? I mean, it really can only reside in those places where the vertical is ideal. I've seen the vertical videos repurposed on Facebook, and I always think, why is there that large black area? But I think people maybe are getting used to seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, there are, a particular, again, I mean, there are a lot more people using mobile nowadays, you know what I mean? So, and that's where they're viewing it on. So it's not going to necessarily bother them.
It's not going to be that bad. Yeah. I think optimizing you could you could repurpose those Instagram lives onto TikTok, for example, or as a video pin on Pinterest. That's one I'd love to try. Let's see if it takes them 5 days to approve that one.
But it is an interesting point that you bring up, something that we haven't mentioned yet, which I think we've talked about is one of the easier ways to get started is where you have a guest or you are a guest.
Exactly.
Because like, as we're doing right now, we're able to go back and forth, and it's a lot easier than you just sitting there and you're like, okay. That kind of thing.
That'd be meditating as opposed to
but at the same time, if you are an individual just doing your own thing, like for me, when I do my live updates to the group, I have, just over here, I have a little notepad that I, that's digital, of course. But I just have little points that I want to cover, and, I'll mention it, it's being transparent, but at the same time, it also just lets people know, like, well, why are you looking over there? Why are you looking over there? You know what I mean? And it's just, I have some notes here that I'm looking at just to make sure I cover everything I want to cover. And I try not to make a big deal out of it, or,
I have notes, but they're Post-it notes.
Hey, nothing wrong with going old school or
3M, baby.
Or, as they say, offline, right?
Offline. OG. Original gangster. Yep. Yeah. So, that is a really good way to get started, or at least to feel comfortable in a scenario. And we've talked to people too, like if you want to come on one of these lives with us, we welcome people. We can have in StreamYard alone, we can have as many 6 people in this. And we did that with it was
last Friday.
Last Friday. If you want to see StreamYard maxed out, you'll see all 6 of us there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Now, the interesting thing too, with when opening it up to a group of people, I think it is good to kind of set a tad bit of ground rules, though, because I have found in some kind of just open ones that, open forums, we'll call it, open forum videos, where even though they know, like, maybe it's in a particular group or something, and so they know what's being copied, or what's being covered. You'll find people that sometimes will. I mean, I understand that you talk about other things and then you get back to the topic. So there's other points that come up, but some people just really derail it in the sense of they either do one where they really can't stay on the group topic. And so that's not beneficial to everybody, or it's not cool to everybody else that's attending, watching it, but also not the other speakers. And then the other one is to where you need to be cognizant of the time you are taking.
Yeah. So that you're not dominating the conversation.
And I find that sometimes there are people that are clueless in that. And so that's some kind of etiquette if you're going to jump into an invite to be on, to keep on topic, unless, the group is taking a divergence. I think that's fine. But then also be cognizant of other people have their opinions to share and their viewpoint as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then you have to also consider at the very beginning of all of this, what is the purpose of you creating content in the first place? I mean, are you trying to?
Are you giving that to me as a rhetorical question?
No, I might give that to you as an. Because
I was going to let you answer it, and then I'll throw my 2 cents in.
I want your 2 cents first because I'm short on change.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, heck, content nowadays. Well, I'll speak to video specifically.
Right.
Again, a video's been around for quite a bit in a way, I guess you could say, but I still think video is going to continue to grow. And I still think that we really, quote unquote, haven't seen anything yet. I mean, look at Facebook, they've just added they're expanding their reach into video, right?
Right.
They've added their Facebook groups, rooms,
and the producer
within the group
studio. Yeah.
Yeah. Their producer tool, and the simple fact of there's more tools come out. StreamYard, BeLive's been around. I mean, quite a while, but then say StreamYard has come around, and there's more software that's desktop based, and then I mean, and then look, TikTok's come out, I mean, there's just more and more that are going towards video.
And I wound up downloading YouTube Studio, an app, onto my phone. I had no idea there was YouTube Studio.
Actually, I didn't know there. I knew there was the desktop stuff.
I found it. It was like, what? There's YouTube Studio. So that's clear that they have dedicated very seriously to moving into the mobile world.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it's people want to do what they want to do when they want to do it, right? And so when you're just out and about and whatever, bam, you just pick this puppy up and you can do and say whatever. Now that your content may be boring or not, people don't want to really watch it.
It could be lousy, or it could be something that goes viral. You never know. It's this,
right.
This notion of just creating. It's like with Russell Brunson and with the people who are into all the ClickFunnels stuff. They may create 10 funnels or 20 funnels. Most of them bomb and one kind of hits. And it's just like, it's the same sort of thing with venture capitalists. They may invest millions of dollars in 10 different businesses. They're actually happy if one or two of them do well and the others fail.
And that's like, if you look at YouTube, that's their thing, right? They'll just take your quantity and and then they'll monetize it how they can out of the majority of them, and they'll promote those as well and that kind of thing. So the question, again, going back to why creating content, and it's the simple fact of and I, again, like I say, I'm taking the angle of video. It's because, one, you can repurpose it. Two, it's getting more and more reach. People do like to see faces and things, and also learn from video versus sitting down and reading. However, again, reading does have its role. That's why you can repurpose into that format. But the reason why you're creating content is to reach an audience, a particular audience. And I have a saying that I've kind of coined, and it's just, being famous means that a lot of people know you, and whether that's for good or bad. So that's why you are trying to reach an audience. In other words, in order for you to sell yourself or your products or services, or again, yourself, because if you're, selling yourself as a personality, or a personality with content, as you're selling, say, information products, then, I mean, you need to, build your audience, and you need to become a form of famous, because with so much going on, it's one of the filters that we use as humans to determine what to pay attention to or not to pay attention to. And that is fame or status that we use to help us. So, for example, Rich Sheffrin is going to be streaming right after ours, right? And so I'll start.
I forgot about that. I got to go watch there too.
I'll start a watch party. I'm going to start a watch party in Live Event Marketers, and for Rich Sheffrin, right? But how did I get to know?
Do they see those comments though, or is that? That's what I was curious about.
That is a great question. So Facebook and all their brainiacs they have on there have not connected watch party chat, and they also do not connect shared streamed chat. So because and it only would make sense to, because they are. So they may not. So for example, they may not be watching it on the originator. So say John, right? Say John was the one who had started this live stream,
right? So
John's actual post, so his personal thread, that's what I'm looking for, a personal profile, would be where the live comments would come from.
Got it.
And what Facebook needs to do is aggregate the areas where this is being broadcast as well. So if somebody shares it, well, if they're going to be commenting, they're commenting on this live stream.
Right.
If somebody started a watch party, they're commenting on this live stream. So Facebook needs to aggregate them if you're going to have that as an option, meaning that you're going to allow people to share in different formats.
Yeah.
And then they're wanting the interaction, right? Well,
and they can have the small group interaction with their more intimate conversation. No?
Well, yeah, so within the Live Event Marketers right now, that's how I can see the different comments that people are making who are coming into the actual watch party. And so I guess in theory you could say, well, this is just for us. But but then I mean, like, well, what are you doing? Are you sharing somebody's watch or somebody's live stream so that you can then just have your own group and talk about them?
I think that's actually a function of it, because they got the little popcorn icon to have the watch party, because it's just like, a bunch of friends sitting on the couch watching TV.
I'm gonna say you're right on that.
Devil's advocate.
I'm also gonna no, I'm not arguing it. That's a valid point. Yeah. What I'm gonna say as well is I'm gonna point out that how was I gonna word it? See, there goes that visual thing.
Does a watch party really extend your reach or not? So
well, I mean, it does, in a sense that, like, it gets, because there's people that in the group, know me, and they may not have necessarily known you as much, but now they're getting to know you, right? But if you look at those who are participating in watch parties, mm-hmm. they interact with that thread because Facebook has conditioned them that they are interacting with what's going on.
Right.
So they, and in a sense they are, but they think that, for example, so that's why you haven't been able to see them. That's why I've been calling them out. I'm saying, like, so Stefan Vanderflag joined, Annie Brockhurst joined, Diesel McLean joined, Michelle Brewer, Tamra, David Kennedy, Brian Arnold, and all these people have come in there, right? And then some have made some comments,
right?
And I've actually, said some of the comments.
And unfortunately, I can see none of them because the watch party comments don't come up into StreamYard. So.
And that's actually a function of Facebook not aggregating them. And so, if anything, Facebook should offer an option to the person starting the watch party.
True.
Should these be a private chat about this, or is it a public, in a sense that public, then it can be pushed into Facebook, then StreamYard would have access to them and be able to put them into, their live commenting module kind of thing.
Yeah, because I'm so used to seeing comments flying through the little chat section here in the StreamYard studio, and there's been nothing. But you're telling me people are watching within the watch party. So
yeah.
And we will return back to those comments too, if you want to have any questions or comments and things.
Yeah, people are just kind of saying hi, and then Andy just talked in the beginning about the sweatshop back here and stuff like that. So So but I think what we got to do is wrap up, because we're both going to be on with Rich Sheffrin's live stream he's going to have coming up, and I will start a watch party as well, and live event marketers for all of us to go ahead and watch in there.
Party on, Troy. Hey, speaking of partying on. Tomorrow is the marketing happy hour, and it's bring your own drink, alcoholic or non. But I mean, bring your own camera, because we're not supplying cameras to you.
That's if you want to be on as well.
In fact, we welcome you to come on tomorrow. Actually, we welcome you in almost any broadcast, just because we love the interaction, the comments, the ideas. So many of you have amazing ideas that we've never thought about before, and great topics, and that's where we are. So tomorrow is 5 Eastern, 3 Mountain, 4 Central, 2 Pacific, noon. You
actually said Central.
Noon Hawaii. I did this time because I want to make sure Angela shows up tomorrow. Noon Hawaiian and 1 p.m. Alaskan. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go watch Rich.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.